Testing one.
Testing one, testing two.
You want to turn that this way?
Yeah.
The microphone for us?
Yeah.
Sorry, sound guy.
I totally understand. So it's December 26, 2017. This is Darice Chang with Chthonic Media interviewing Randy Blythe at Provider Dry Goods and Coffee in Shiminting.
Yes, here we are.
Here we are, getting started. So thanks so much for taking the time to interview with us.
Of course.
The interview will be recorded. If there's anything said that you currently or afterwards do not feel comfortable with, please let us know. We do respect everyone's wishes with what they do and do not want to be published.
I say what I mean.
All right, awesome. We appreciate that. The article will appear in Chthonic Media, and the contents may be shared with other reporters as well, because we're trying to get the news out there like as much as possible.
Sure.
All right, awesome.
Sure.
Cool. So let's start with just tell us the story about how you and Chthonic got to know each other. Like, I know you guys met on tour.
We met on tour, and it was Ozfest 2007, I believe. I think it was 2007.
Okay.
You know, the Ozfest gets kind of hazy at times. But they were on the second stage, and a friend of mine, Chris Johnson, was driving them. Regrettably, he passed away a few years ago, but they were the first Asian band to be on Ozfest. And, you know, I thought it was interesting. They had a henna player, and I was checking them out, like, who is this crazy Asian black metal band? You know, it's just not something you see all the time. So I just started talking to them, and really, I guess the time when we really bonded was they were on the second stage, and over on the second stage, we would barbecue every night and cook out, and there was a holiday coming up, a Taiwanese holiday. I think it's the holiday of the Hungry Ghosts.
Oh, Ghost Month.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Freddie and Doris told me, okay, it's our holiday, and it's where we make all this food for the ancestors, you know, and then everybody eats, and we're going to cook up a bunch of food over at the second stage, because we were always grilling steaks and hot dogs and stuff, and they're like, we're going to do a Taiwanese style. They're like, I'm like, awesome, because I love Asian food, you know, and eat it all the time. My wife is half Chinese, so you know I love going to her mom's house. So I went over there and just ate and ate and ate and ate and ate, and we just became friends. And one thing that really interested me about Chthonic was not that just they're an Asian metal band, is their sort of the reason behind the aesthetic. The use of Taiwanese mythology and the look in traditional instrumentation in order to further sort of their political view about Taiwanese independence, which I come from the punk rock scene, and politics is a big part of music in the punk rock scene, and I thought it was really cool that they were doing that. What's also fascinating to me is when they would play, there would be all these people from Taiwanese American associations wherever we went that would show up because they're a Taiwanese band. So you'd see like an 80-year-old Taiwanese man in a Chthonic t-shirt at Ozfest, you know, and that's not something you see often. So I was like, these guys are really cool. They're, you know, very smart, very talented people. And we just became friends, you know. I respect the fact that they have something to say. They make music that has substance to it, you know, not just heavy metal. You know? So we just became friends on that tour. And then they had a DVD filming at Singling Temple. And Freddie sent me an email. He said, hey, man, if you want, we'll fly you over here to sing one song with us at an ancient temple in the mountains of Taiwan, and then you can just cruise around on vacation for a week, and you can bring your wife. Do you want to do that? And I said, yes, Freddie, yes, I do. So my wife and I came over here, Spent 2 or 3 days with Chthonic. Did the show at Singling Temple, which is really cool. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a historical place. It's a battle, site of a battle. So it was very, very cool. The show was great. People were throwing ghost money and all that stuff. We played outdoors in this crazy temple in the mountains. And then my wife spent like 10 days cruising all around Taiwan. Like went to Alishan, went to Taroko Gorge, all that cool stuff, and just hung out. So then a couple of years later, Freddie and Doris sent me an email. They said, hey, we're making an action movie. Do you want to be in an action movie? And I said, yes, I do. So it's like every time they ask me, do you want to do something, like come over here and eat food with us side stage, come sing with us in the temple, come be in a movie, it's awesome. So whenever they send me an email, I just want to write yes automatically. Yes, I'll do it. And so here I am.
Awesome. Cool. That's really cool, yeah. So you mentioned that your wife is half Chinese. Like what part of China is her
mother was born and raised in Shanghai. And she left because, Chairman Mao started
massacring people.
So she left when she was like 8 or 9 and hadn't been back in, I don't know, 60 or some odd years. And my wife had never been to China. She hadn't met a lot of her family. So I told her one year, I said, you need to go to China with your mom. Your mom's getting old. And I'll send you two to China. And she said, okay. They were like, do you want to come? I'm like, no, mother and daughter should go do this first. So they went, and they went back to her mom's apartment where she grew up in Shanghai, and there's an old man there living there in the apartment, and he still had the bill of sale from my wife's grandfather when he sold that building to that guy. So she got to go back up in there and see stuff she hadn't seen. She was a little girl. My mother-in-law did. And so they just showed up, in the alleyway, and someone yelled like, hey, can we come, see this? They're like, sure. So a few years later, I'm in Shanghai on tour, and I got the address from my mother-in-law, and I just showed up in the alleyway. And I yelled up there, and I'm like, hey, my wife used to live there. So I went up and met the old man and hung out in this apartment where my mother-in-law lived. And he was just like really cool, They're like, what is this Lao Wai doing in the alleyway? It was awesome.
Wow. Crazy. Did you get pictures from that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Would you be able to send them to me?
I'd have to look, man. I'd have to find them on a hard drive somewhere.
For sure. Yeah, because I know you also do photography, right?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Do you upload your pictures anywhere, like Flickr?
Instagram. Yes.
Oh, okay.
At D Randall, all one word.
Randall.
Blythe, Blythe. It's all one word.
Lyfe.
The.
Yeah. Randall Life.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll have to go look that up. Cool. So, I guess the second question is, would you consider yourself a very Chong kind of person?
Chong? Of course. Of course.
Yeah, I guess we can glean that.
Yeah.
You're always saying yes and things like that. Awesome. Cool. And so you said you come from the punk rock scene, and that's very political, right? So are you supportive of Chtonic's views in Taiwanese independence?
I wouldn't have appeared in the movie if I wasn't. Yes, of course I am. I don't know if I'll be allowed to play in China again after this movie comes out.
That was one of the questions.
I mean, we weren't allowed in China for... Lamb of God tried to go to China for 8 years or something, and they wouldn't let us in because they thought we were an evangelical Christian organization.
What?
Yeah, because of the name.
That makes sense.
And then finally we got a show book in Beijing and Shanghai.
Yeah.
But that was during the time of the World Expo that they had in Shanghai. So we got there and we got the permit to go to Beijing, but they canceled our Shanghai show. I guess because they didn't want heavy metal there or something. We don't know why. But then eventually, the last time we went back, we went to Beijing and Shanghai.
Oh, so you have played both cities?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cool. You know, I would definitely go back to play China again, and especially since I have family there. You know,
oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, when I went there the first time, I was glad my wife had already gone there because I didn't want any of my political views to prevent her from ever being let into the country, you know.
Yeah.
But so far it hasn't. I mean, I don't know what'll happen with the movie, but yes, of course, I mean, Taiwan is its own country.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the people that live here run it?
Yeah.
That makes sense. You know, in America, if England all of a sudden said, hey, we want to run America again, we would say, screw you. This is America, not England. And it's kind of the same thing here. But, you know, the history of Taiwanese politics is so complex. You know, I barely wrapped my head around it when I was here last time. I talked to a guy named Andrew. He's an American guy who lives here as a writer, and he explained a lot of it to me. You know, what with Chiang Kai-shek moving here and all that stuff that happened at the end of World War II.
Yeah.
You know, so I know all about how Mao Zedong and Chiang Kai-shek were fighting. Then World War II broke out. They stopped fighting. World War II ended, and they split. Then Chiang Kai-shek grabs all of China's gold reserves, cruises to Taiwan, declares himself the ruler of China from Taiwan. So it's really bizarre. Taiwan doesn't have a UN representative, right?
Yeah.
There's no representative.
Yeah,
there.
you know how that happened?
Because nobody knows supposedly who owns Taiwan, right?
Well, no, what happened was we used to have the China seat because the UN didn't want to admit communist China.
Right.
And at the time, Chiang Kai-shek still thought that he was going to take China back.
Right.
So they were like, okay, so you're actually China, this is cool. And then obviously it wasn't going to happen. So later they were like, okay, so we can't actually admit you as China because China obviously is China and doing its China thing.
Right.
So we need you guys to like take another seat. And he was like, no, like we're still China. So that's how we lost the UN seat.
Right.
And that happened during martial law. So none of the people of Taiwan actually got any say in whether or not we were able to keep the UN seat.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, politics here is. I've been here during elections too. It's
did you come during the last one?
Yes.
Oh.
It's crazy to me. Like all those people cruising down the street, screaming and yelling and marching and all that stuff. I mean, it's not my place as a foreigner to say these people should rule Taiwan or these people should rule Taiwan. You know, I can say what I believe, which is that the people who live here, the Taiwanese, should rule Taiwan in whatever form that takes. You know.
Yeah.
So, what Freddie and Chthonic are about makes sense to me. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Is that clear enough?
Yes, that's perfectly clear. Thank you so much.